Um, sorry, I went too far, didn't I? Oh, what's just happened? What's the famous day?
May the 4th.
May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. I was born, well, no, I won't tell you when I was born because you know how old I am. But anyway, in the 1970s, that's a long time ago, this movie came out, Star Wars, and I was in my teens, and it had an amazing impact upon me. I think, since then I've always been interested in science fiction. I love science fiction, and I think it's come out of this because of my age and the timing of the movie. And it came out, and I was thinking the other day, why is it that I like science fiction so much? And I think one of the things is I like looking to see how people imagine the world's going to be, you know, what it's going to be like in the future. And I just like all the different ideas people have, and you sit there and you go, nah, it's not going to be like this. Star Wars is a classic example. We don't run around with lightsabers and we don't have big battleships out there. It's like, but the main thing was good triumphed over evil, didn't they? So yeah, that was it. It's had an impact. And today's passage is a vision for the future. Because Ezekiel is giving Israel a vision in the midst of a time of, well, they were pretty upset because they'd just were being taken into exile. Their enemies were defeating them left, right and centre. They were a small group of people who were being scattered across the earth, and everything that God had promised and said was not happening. And so Ezekiel speaks into this, and it's bizarre, isn't it? A bizarre way. He goes into a place where there's a whole lot of dry bones. Now, this is a vision, so this is probably something he saw, you know, dreamed or something, I don't know. But God takes them into where do you find a whole lot of dry bones all in one place? A cemetery. But back in those days, it was a battleground. It's where a battle has happened. A whole lot of people have died, and their bones are just left just because there's so many of them they couldn't pick them up. And so he goes in his vision into this place, and he looks and he sees dry bones, and God asks him the question, can these bones come back to life? And Ezekiel says, only you know, right? Only you know. So, the two books, Kate Crawford has written a book called The Atlas of AI, and I'm going to be drawing from it. I haven't read the whole book, but interesting stuff I'm going to draw from it. And Being the Bad Guys, Stephen McAlpine, that Gillian picked up at the Mainly Music Conference, and I've read it, found it quite fascinating too. How to Live for Jesus in a World That Says You Shouldn't. In an effort to reach the more technically inclined, we will be text messaging sermon notes because we don't have internet yet. We won't be, but okay. So what is AI? AI is not artificial and it's not intelligent. Did you know that? It's not artificial and it's not intelligent. It's machine-generated algorithms. It is science or maths, if you want to know. So, people talk about losing jobs in today's world. If you have young people who don't want to lose their jobs, what should they do? Study maths. You'll be guaranteed in 10, 20, 30, 40 years that you will still have a job if you study maths. I'm sorry for those of you who don't like maths, but it's machine-generated algorithms, it's science. Its design, AI's design, is not to create, and this is her sort of premise, hypothesis, an atlas of the world, but to be the atlas. So when you turn to it, why do you turn to an atlas? Normally. find places, see countries and that. You look at it, you look at it to see the world as it is, don't you? So what AA is trying to do is to create the atlas so that you will see the world through the eyes of AI. You will see the world in a certain way. And the people who are doing it, the people who are doing it. What is AI? It is embodied in material made from natural resources, power, rare earth minerals, human labour and logistics. It is not autonomous or rational. It cannot discern anything without computational training and large data sets. Now, I am not saying this. This is computer people saying this. This is people who know a lot about computing. We are being sold a lie. Computers cannot think for themselves. And certainly the way these guys are saying AI is worthless, some of them say. Assistive AI helps you do things and shows real promise. So when I do my notes, my course outline for Hinduism, I teach Hinduism and world religions, I ask AI, give me a good course outline. And so AI goes on and it looks up all the information, it's fine, and it comes up with this course outline. And then I look at the course outline that AI have got, and I look at it and I say, yeah, this is good, this is not, yeah, I'll use this, oh, this is a great idea, and this is not. So it assists me. Very helpful for that sort of thing. But generative AI promises to do things for you, that promises to do things for you is rubbish. It's a scam and a delusion. Again, it's not me saying this, some computer guys. Interesting, isn't it? So what is he saying? It's a scam and an illusion. What does he mean by generative AI? This is thinking computers. Computers do not think. Computers rely upon us and our thinking. And what they do in AI is they take these massive sets of data, which they get from us, and the thing that computers can do, which we can't do, is analyse millions and millions of sets of data to come up with what it thinks the answer is. What is AI? It's sort of like a valley of dry bones. And the question is, can these bones live? Sort of. But who is it that's breathing life into them? And currently, due to the capital required to build AI at scale, it is ultimately serving existing dominant interests. Those who are breathing life into it have power, money, dominance, and are exploiting the poor. Some would debate this. So what interesting was what happened when in China, this really got the AI people upset. What did the Chinese do recently that really upset the Americans? Any of you know, here in the news, or you all missed it? They came up with a cheap version of AI. In other words, they said, the Americans debate this, but they said they're able to gather all these data sets by not investing millions of dollars in computers, and they were able to gather this data set cheaply. And the Americans were very upset about this because if this was true, ChatGPT and Copilot and all these who have invested billions into them would go out of business. And they were concerned. Jack Morgan did this. If you happen to have pictures, if you like pictures like this, I quite like this. So this is the old haunted house he drew. And it looks like it, derelict and everything. And I think I'm right, Val, the story was that when you're filled with, when you invite Jesus into your life, the lights come on and suddenly the house changes. It's still the same house, still not brand new or anything, but it's a lot more inviting because of what's happening, what's going on. So you say, Ross, why are you talking about AI and this? What's this got to do? What's this to do? This is a cartoon from many, many years ago. It says down there, no sign of the enemy. I think we've got them on the run. That's what it says here. So these are the soldiers, out the front. And in the background there, you may be able to read them, you may not, are materialism, racism, nationalism, and at the front are a whole lot of banners, Christians against abortion, Christians against evolution, Christians against pornography, Christians against alcohol. The whole point of this cartoon, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying we shouldn't be against these, is we're fighting, the church is fighting and Christians the wrong battles. We're out here at the front and the real enemy is behind us. And he's having a field day amongst in the church and in the world because we're waging war in the wrong places. And AI is a classic example of where we embrace things. And again, I'm not saying AI itself is bad or wrong, but we've got to realise the people behind it and what they're wanting to achieve. I use AI, like I said, but we have to understand what it really is and work out how that is. National Coming Out Day, October 11th, this was in the US. The more modern meaning coming out of the closet is a metaphor used to describe a person's self-disclosure regarding their sexual orientation. We fight a lot in this battle area, Christians do, in that. And it's interesting, this is Stephen McAlpine says, Western culture is obsessed with sexuality because it is declared the deepest, truest, most authentic self is discovered there. So we're fighting a battle here on the outside, and the real battle we should be fighting is in here. We're trying to tackle the behaviour, but we're not tackling the beliefs and the values. And the other problem we have, and here's another cartoon, of course we Christians don't have the problems you're facing trying to keep 3 wives happy. We believe in the sanctity of marriage, 1 man, 1 woman. And if a couple find they're incompatible, they can always ask God to lead them to greater emotional authenticity with someone else. Polygamy by installments, you white men are so clever. So the second problem we have is that often we as a church absorb the values and beliefs of the world and we don't realise. And the problem we face is this, one of the big ones we face, there's a whole lot of them, but this is where the one I'm tackling today is individualism. Where do we find our true, authentic self? Well, we as Christians would say in God, but the world says within ourselves. Look for it. So you have somebody coming out, and a man coming out saying, I'll come to it in a minute. Let's say history. There is a battle going on that's been going on for centuries, and this battle involves the question, what is the good life and how do you get it? And then the I world, it says, today through self-fulfillment we are promised the good life if you only find your true authentic self. Certainty and comfort are within our grasp. The I world, the me world, the individual is the world you're interested in. And we know, on the other hand, the breath of life, Jesus declared that true self-fulfillment comes with self-denial. So how does that work? Well, you know, if somebody comes out, a guy comes out and he says, I'm not actually, you know, I'm a homosexual. And what does he do? Well, he gets applauded because, you know, he's found his authentic self. He's found out who he truly is. What about the wife and the children? What about them? What about him saying, this might be the way I feel I am, but for the sake of my children and my marriage and my wife, I'm going to do self-denial? Does he get applauded for that? Jesus said fulfillment comes. What is the passage in Matthew? What is the verse or the passage talking about? He who loses his life
for me will find it.
For me will find it. True self-fulfillment and identity is found when you lose your life. What does he mean? And he who gains his life will lose it. How do you get this rich and satisfying life? Ezekiel 26 from it should be 36 and 37, sorry. And I will give you a new heart and a new spirit. I will put within you a new heart and a new spirit, and you shall be my people, and I will be your God. There's a dilemma though. At times we feel our views are no longer respected as Christians. We are becoming the victim. We are powerless to change things. The world has become increasingly hostile towards us. Any solution we offer is going to be regarded as naive or inappropriate. In the world, but not of it. From Ezekiel 37, our bones are dried up and our hope is lost. We are indeed cut off. We are, in a sense, feel like we're in exile. Our hope is fading fast. Ezekiel's vision clearly demonstrates there will be a restoration of life of a people who have been dead for some time. There is coming a time of spiritual and physical renewal. There was hope for Israel, and there is hope for us today. So the challenge, how does it feel to be pushed to the margins? I really struggle with this one. It seems we have been given a new heart and the world has rejected us. I struggle with that. I struggle this time in my family. You know, the whole thinking of if I am truly filled with the Spirit of God, if I'm following Christ wholeheartedly, why don't my family who are not Christians become Christians? Turn around, embrace Christianity, at least see the light, some of them. But it hasn't happened in my lot. Struggle. And it really does feel like you're on the margin amongst non-Christians. You see, without Jesus, we have no compelling reason to offer a vision for human flourishing beyond what the world already has. And the I world doesn't have a lot of flourishing. Well, some do, but despite its triumph, the I world is not perfect. Two of the primary difficulties facing people in the I world are loneliness and insecurity. These are inherent byproducts of individualism if individual freedom is the goal and the means of achieving this freedom is replacing relationships of obligation and responsibility with a world of relational choice, then a certain amount of loneliness and insecurity will result. So what we're doing, the I world replaces relationships of obligation and responsibility with putting me first. I love this cartoon too. Welcome aboard. I've probably showed you this before. Welcome aboard, not a moment too soon, by the look of that old tub. So that's Noah's Ark pulling up alongside a modern ocean liner. So that's the modern world, you know, modernity, the modern world. What are you doing in a tub made of wood, you know, with a whole lot of animals? It's a bit stupid. It's ridiculous. It's that whole idea of that we are the modern world. We've made progress. You're living in the past. You're living in bygone days. But there's a problem there. When you read it, the SS Titanic. Daniel knew what it was like to be outed for staying faithful. He learned that the law had been signed. He still went home, knelt down as usual in his upstairs room, opened the windows towards Jerusalem and prayed as he always had, 3 times a day. That's what Daniel did. And so he was caught praying to his God instead of to Darius the king, and he disobeyed the edict, and so his punishment was the lion's den. You know the story. You've heard it hundreds of times. Fascinating though, the response of King Darius. King Darius is the man who has put him in, wrote the edict, did all, you know, he said, you know, I didn't really want you to go in the lion's den, but I got no choice. My hands are tied here. And what he says to Daniel, he goes down to the lion's den and he says, was your God, whom you serve so faithfully, able to rescue you from the lion's den? It's a pretty amazing statement by this king doesn't believe in God or anything, and he says, was your God whom you serve faithfully? Darius had noticed something. Daniel had a new heart, a different spirit within him, one that looked beyond the present circumstances to future glory, a heart that said, self-fulfillment will not bring me the good life, but self-denial will. He knew what was going to happen if he disobeyed the king's edict, but he chose God first. So what does that look like? If you are the peace, this is, I've changed it slightly, but this is Steve McAlpine's comment. What if you are the peacemaker in your family? If you deflect the boss's praise onto others, if you help your neighbour out when they are struggling, if you are quick to point out others' strengths instead of their weaknesses, if you share meals with those around you, and if you, dare I say, are willing to take out for a cup of coffee the gay couple you met recently, if you do these things, then you may be accepted as an outlier. Then, like Daniel, your faithfulness will be seen as an attribute, not a weapon, and you might just become a friend to those who oppose you. Our position, we will not be servants of the dominant authority. We will not have the power, the dominance and the wealth. We will be outliers living on the fringe. You might say it's the prophetic message for the church. It's the way we're going in this world, and we need to accept it and we need to realise it. And from Ezekiel's vision, and I will give you a new heart and a new spirit. I will put within you, and you shall be my people, and I will be your God, and you will know and experience the good life. irrespective of our circumstances or where we find us, the dry bones will come back to life. There is hope. And so that's it. Part 2 next week, because I'm down to preach next week again. So we'll be doing Staying Engaged in the Modern World, Why Out on the Fringes. So that's part 2 from Luke chapter 9. But if you don't want me to come back next week, tell me and I won't. After that. I put that up because I knew I'd missed the notices. Gail, are we having, so it is communion next week and we are having a shared lunch. Okay, I just put that in because I knew I'd missed the notices. And then feel free to tackle me on anything I've spoken about that you may not agree with, that's fine. Yeah. Let me pray. Lord, we do thank you for that wonderful promise, that vision that you gave Ezekiel, that, Lord, there will come a time, and there has come a time, when you will give those who follow you a new heart and a new spirit. It won't be a heart of stone any longer, but a heart of flesh. And we will be your people. We are your people, and you are our God. And I thank you for that, Lord. And I thank you that despite the opposition and the struggles we find ourselves in, that we can know for sure that you, Lord, are our God. And you are the creator and maker of this universe and all that's in it. And I thank you for that, Lord. And I do pray for each one of us that you will show us how, even if we find ourselves as an outlier, how we can engage with the world that we live in and make a difference, Lord, a positive difference for you. Lord, we pray that your kingdom will extend over all this earth, Lord. Come, have your way, we pray. Amen.